Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching 90 Day Fiancé. Let's get to it.
I'm very worried about Mike because he doesn't know Kiev. He doesn't know any Russian. Somebody could rob him or do something to him. Maybe I was too harsh with Mike. I don't know if I was wrong in the argument. I said like I felt.
Может, ему позвонить?
All right, so that comment rides the line, and I don't know which side of the line it's on, or if it's right in the middle. She's saying that, I don't know if I was wrong, and so that's a tick in the column of health in terms of saying, like, you know what, maybe I was wrong to do that. Maybe I was so hurt and so upset that I put too much pressure on him. Everyone in a relationship should be able to say that, because all of us have been wrong emotionally. All of us have been overreactive. All of us have misinterpreted things. All of us have been entitled. All of us have traumas that get triggered, and then we treat other people unfairly. All of us, all the time. So she was sort of talking in that direction, like, well, maybe I was wrong. I don't know. But then she said, well, I was just telling him how I felt. Actually, in what we were shown on the show, she didn't talk about how she felt. She expressed emotion, sort of, but it was a lot of anger and criticism. Seemingly sadness, because she was crying. There's a lot of different ways we can express our emotions, and I do a lot of work like this with couples. And people almost always say this, regardless of where someone is personality-wise, is, well, I was just telling her how I felt. Aren't I allowed to express my feelings? I thought therapy was about expressing feelings. I'm expressing my feelings. And I'll be like, yeah, you are absolutely in the right to express your feelings, but not at the expense of other people. And when you're expressing your feelings, are you actually expressing your feelings, your true feelings, or are you just being a jerk to someone? Or are you expecting people to read your mind? And it's normal to feel like, well, I feel bad, I feel sad, I feel hurt, and I'm expressing that, and I want the other person to receive that. But unless you're really good at detecting how you're expressing it, you might actually be expressing something completely different. So it's important to be able to recognize that. And I'm guessing if she were to really express her actual primary feelings, she would say something like, I'm terrified of the future because you're not religious. I'm terrified of our future because you're not religious. I'm sad that you're not religious. I'm sad that we have this difference and it will always be a thorn in our side. She basically indicated that kind of, but another thing that I'm guessing he received from her was judgment about him not being religious, was accusations about who he is as a person. And I don't think that's what she was intending on communicating, but it did, I think, come across that way. So anyway, let's rewind that and watch that little bit when she said, and I still don't know. I have hopes for the two of them to come back together. I'm guessing they're going to have a conversation. And she'll be more relaxed and she'll be able to describe her feelings from that baseline level of like, look, honey, I'm just really scared. Look, I'm really hurt. I'm confused. And then I believe he has the capacity to care for that. And then they can understand each other and be with each other in those difficult emotions instead of being at odds. But let's rewind that and watch that.
Maybe I was too harsh with Mike. I don't know if I was wrong in the argument, but I said like I felt.
Не переживай, вы подружитесь. Все будет хорошо. Вот.
I will give 2 thumbs up to the mom in this example right here. She's being great. She's just being nice, and she's laying down with her and being a calming presence. That's good.
I'm not trying to run away from Natalie. I got nowhere to run out here. I'm just mad and frustrated. That's all it comes down to. I need to step away. I need some time to myself. Come out, have a beer, I'm not doing anything bad, I need some time to, reflect on my own self.
All right. I don't know. But if I were there, I would tell him, okay, you need some breathing room, which is your style. There's a conflict in Your style is you need some breathing room. That's fine. If you want to make this go well for the two of you, you've got to communicate that to her. This is actually something I run into a lot with couples is there will be someone who during a fight, they need to run, and that's okay. But if you want to create panic in your partner, you just run. If you don't want to create panic, then you say, I'm sorry, I just need an hour, and I'll definitely be back. And so we'll be back and we'll talk about it. But I need an hour. I just need an hour. Please just give me an hour, and then you leave. The other little bit of a worry I have here, and I don't want to pathologize just getting a beer, but I wonder about his relationship with alcohol. To be in a pretty heightened emotional state, suffering quite a bit, which I'm guessing he is and was, to turn to alcohol to help in that situation isn't inherently dysfunctional. But if it's an ongoing pattern, it can become a problem in that you can develop an addiction, for one, a dependency. And probably more importantly, in my world, is it becomes your only way of dealing with difficult emotions. One of the perspectives that we have in our field is that whenever you started drinking to deal with your emotions, when you stop drinking, you return to that age. So let's say that at the age of 16 years old, whenever you had a difficult day, you turn to alcohol. And alcohol will numb your emotions. It's one of the purposes for why people drink. They drink to numb. And it will. It'll numb you out. Not for everyone, but it often does. And let's say that 95% of the time when you have a bad day, you drink and you numb yourself. Well, what you deny yourself is the opportunity to learn other ways of dealing with those emotions through self-care, different kind of thought processes, reassurance, talking it out, hugging someone, going for a walk, going to the source of the pain and having a conversation. And when you do those other things, when you experiment with those, age appropriateness, then you learn to trust, there are lots of different ways I can deal with my emotions that will make me feel better. But if you're 35 and suddenly you realize you have a problem with alcohol and you stop drinking, well, now you're basically a 16-year-old in the way that you deal with emotions. When you were drinking alcohol, you were not dealing with your emotions much at all, which would have all sorts of problems, relationally speaking, and in terms of your own suffering. But when you stop drinking, which is a good move, now suddenly you have to go back to when you're 16 and relearn or learn skills that other people learn when they're 16. It can be very distressing to people because one of the things that can happen is you can act like a 16-year-old. When you're 16 and you act like a 16-year-old, people aren't so concerned, usually, hopefully. If a 16-year-old has a bad day and they come home from school and they throw their backpack down and they stomp around and they slam the door, that's not good. But they're 16, they're still a child, so it's not the end of the world. Now, if you're 35 and you had a bad day at work and you come home and you slam your briefcase down and you throw your keys against the wall now we're talking about something different, right? Now it's harder. Now, that's a phase you might have to go through, but it's one of those things that will drive people back to drinking because they're like, wow, I really can't deal with my emotions. I definitely need to turn to alcohol again or marijuana or something. And what can help is a therapist or 12-step groups that can help interpret that. It's like, nope, remember that you're starting over. And so you're going to deal with things. You're going to be an erratic person for a while until you learn how to deal with things from a sober lifestyle. There's going to be a ton of emotional chaos. And that's one of the things that specialists in my field and 12-step groups will talk about. They're very acknowledging of the fact that when people gain sobriety for the first time in a long time, that you're going to be like this. You're just going to be like this. And if you let that get to you and judge yourself for it, and you don't alert everyone around you that that's what's just probably going to happen as you learn how to deal with things with abstinence, then you're definitely going to go back to using again. I'm extrapolating from him drinking one beer, so I have no idea. But that's just what I react to when I watch the show.
I don't know. My relationship with Natalie is it's on the fence. I don't know why she like does this to me, like comes at me, and it's like we ain't even got the visa yet. Like why cause this much stress? I mean, it's communication, really. 3 down, 1 to go.
All right, 3 down, 1 to go. Again, nothing wrong with having a few. I think it's morning time, though. So, again, it's not inherently pathological. It would be an issue for him, and I would be concerned for him if it was an overall pattern. But 3 beers does not a pattern make.
I made some really big sacrifices, really big decisions, but I just don't feel that support back sometimes. And that's the frustrating part. Only spending weeks together, it's extremely difficult. It's a lot, dude. I mean, if I'm getting this now, before you know it, it's gonna be 20 years down the road and you're just gonna be like, holy what the happened?
All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.